Good afternoon, guys. How are you guys doing? Today we're going to meet with Jess. I don't want to jack up his last name, so I'm not even going to say it. But I have never met him in person. I've only met him on the gram. And he is, hey, Desiree, he's super passionate about humanity. He's also vegan and he's doing some pretty cool stuff out in California. He taught me about SEL. I'll let him tell us all what that is the moment he gets here. Hey, Lisa, how you guys doing? Thank you so much for coming here today. I didn't get my lip gloss on. Kai, will you get my lip gloss out of my purse, please? Just so I could act like, I had it all together. Hey, Desiree, I miss you too. Oh, Jess, there he is. I'm going to go get him. Hey, Jess.
Hey, how's it going?
It is going well. Thank you so much for doing this with me.
Oh my gosh, it's an honor. It's seriously so cool. I'm glad that we can wrap, especially with, everything going on right now. It's
I know it's crazy.
heavy.
It is heavy. And Jess, I just want everybody to know that you and I have never met in person.
Yeah.
We've only met here on the ground.
IG, it's a powerful connector, man.
It is a powerful connector. I mean, I think this is like one of my things that I really do love about social media, that I can peek into a man's life that I've never met before and just kind of scroll through his stuff. And I'm like, I like what this brother's doing. I like what he's doing. And I want to engage him in what he's doing because, Jess, like you said, it's heavy right now. There's a lot of hate. There's a lot of hurt flying around. And I am of the opinion, and maybe some might call me naive, but I'm of the opinion that I believe in the power of the little things. And I believe in the power of love. And I believe in the power of truth and setting the intention to make a space better, more full, more open. And that's what I want us to do. And I feel like we can drop that in the world and it means something. I'm not going to believe the lie that it doesn't mean something. It means something.
Oh my gosh, the smallest things mean everything. And I think right now what we're seeing is even as a collective, the importance of everybody recognizing that from where you put your attention to the way you live your life, to the smallest of details, it matters. And these thoughts that we have, the emotions that we feel, it's all, it's important, and it goes to that collective. And if we're all
Yes.
moving in the direction that you just said, right,
Mm-hmm.
for positive change, that is, for the new way, I like to, I always say the new way of living or the new way of being
Yes.
does matter. It
It
does.
does. Jess, can you tell for those people w'ho've not met you yet, and how do I pronounce your last name? Guidroz?
Guidroz. I like that better though. That's
Oh,
Guidroz.
I was like, I think it's Guidros, but I don't want to jack it up. So
Well, it's Cajun. So in Louisiana, it's Guidroz.
Guidro. Okay, so it's French, of
Yeah.
French origin. Oh, okay. I like it, fancy pants. So you're a Cajun. Tell everybody where you are. Where are you?
Yeah. Right now I'm in Southern California, LA County.
Okay, what is yeah, for those of us who don't know, like so that's like outside of LA or in the
Yep.
heart of it?
Yeah, I'm like I'm a half-hour drive from downtown LA.
Oh, okay, that's great. How long ago did you move there, Jess? And then I want you to talk about what you do too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, I moved here when I was 5. I was born in
Oh,
Toronto. I was born in Toronto, Canada. My parents my dad was a minister, so they would plant churches all throughout the nation. And they
did you
actually,
say he was Mennonite or just a minister?
he was a minister.
Okay.
And so they were church planners. And then
Mm-hmm.
that's what set us out here to Santa Clarita was we planted a church out here in LA County. And so I kind of grew up watching, my dad speak and
Yeah.
my mom was a teacher. So kind of, I watched a lot of that and a lot of what they did sort of wore off on me. And so now
Mm-hmm.
I'm a teacher as well. I teach social emotional learning.
That's what
Uh,
I want you to dive into because I had never heard that before, Jess. Teach me, brother. We want to
it's a,
learn.
it's a movement. It is a movement, and it is a much needed movement in our education.
Ooh. Okay, I'm getting comfortable. Look at me.
Yeah, yeah.
Sit back. Mm-hmm.
Hey,
Uh-huh.
hey,
Go
hey.
ahead.
So I I got asked last year. I've taught English for the last 6 years, and I got asked last year. This is actually, I live in the town that there was just a school shooting 3 months ago or 4 months ago,
Oh.
at Saugus High School. I'm not sure you might know Saugus,
I,
but
I'm going to be honest with you. I've never heard of it, um, primarily because I stay largely ignorant of the details because I'm going to be very transparent, Jess. It breaks my soul, and I have a very sensitive soul. And I know that there is a duty for me to stay aware of what is going on, but I can't take it all in. I
I
can't.
get it. I
Yeah, so
get it.
tell me about it though, please, because
Well,
whoever was shot and whoever shot, lives were changed, and I want to know about that.
it was just huge. It hit our district hard. The teachers, obviously, the students.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody connected. We have about 330,000 people. We're the second largest city in LA County. So really heavily felt, and there was this huge demand for mental health, emotional well-being being taught in schools, which
Mm-hmm.
that's relatively foreign to our current educational system.
That's right.
Math, science, English, blah blah blah, and there's
Yeah.
this
How you cope with life, we'll get to that later,
figure that out as
or never.
yeah, or never, right, exactly. And
Yeah.
so it's just a shift from the academic
Mm-hmm.
focus into emotional and mental well-being of our students and staff, and so being asked to teach that was, I mean, I feel like it's what I was sort of put here to do. I'm an activist by nature, so I see something and I need to take part, I need to contribute. And
Absolutely.
so the fact that it worked out that way is great, and it's a huge movement right now. I mean, you've got Yale University, Harvard, I mean, all these, the huge, most prestigious schools are making this our number one focus. I mean, look what's going on in the world right now.
I know, it's crazy. It is crazy. So how'd you even learn about SEL to like jump into it? Like how do you learn how do you figure out you want to do something that you never even knew exists? We're not taught about it in school. How'd you learn about it?
So true. I'm self-taught, and I'm a certified life coach, and I've done
Love
all,
it.
and I've read all the books,
Mm-hmm.
like for my in the past, and so I really had a good foundation. I think my principal knew that,
Mm-hmm.
and she's also listened to my podcast. I think she kind of was just on to, hey, this guy knows at least more than most. So
Right.
I got trained through Yale University, which has this program called Ruler, and it's all about identifying, recognizing, labeling emotions, and coping with
Ooh, I
sort of.
might need to take that.
Oh my God, it's incredible. And so that's sort of how it started. And, since then, it just so happens to be my first year teaching it. We have the Saga shooting, we have the pandemic, now we have, the craziness going on, and the turmoil going on right now is, it's just, there's never been a time more, I think, that our
Yeah.
students to process what we're
Oh,
going.
hey, Joy. I know. It's, it seems like, and I want to hear your take on it. Seems like we are in a very raw place where there is an erosion of love, of trust, of understanding, of seeing each other, like it is eroded. Tell me, what are you doing in your life? What, A, do you feel those things that I'm talking about? And B, what are some things that you're doing in your life that's speaking to that? That's helping you cope with that? Because I'm really stuck on the word right now of trauma. This stuff is traumatizing. This stuff is traumatizing. And we're asked by a society to keep going on and acting normal when we are traumatized. And I've done it for a very long time. I'm now 45 years old. I've been doing it well, but I can't do it any longer. So I want to know, what are you doing with the trauma that we're feeling?
I feel you.
Thank you, brother.
I do feel you. I really do. You use the word erosion, and I think the part of erosion that is occurring, as traumatic as it is for us, I think it's essential for change to happen.
So
And
true.
I think in order for these changes that we're fighting for, literally that we're
Mm.
fighting for,
Mm-hmm.
to happen, we watched Colin Kaepernick did it the peaceful way. And
Yeah.
I don't know if that landed as much as, you know, this action, things that are going on right now, might,
Yeah.
as far as erosion, of the old way to happen. We need those things
Yeah.
on the road. We need those systems that have been in power and in place for a century. We need that erosion of that. And I think as a 45-year-old, 34-year-old,
Mm-hmm.
we have to, it's painful because that's familiar. That's
Mm-hmm.
what we've grown up in. So
Yeah.
to erode is like, okay, this is happening. We're on the forefront.
Right.
We're on the cutting edge, and this is
That's
happening.
it.
And it's it's a lot. And so to answer your question, what have I been doing personally? I've been doing a lot of processing,
Mm.
journaling, lots of talking with my wife. We drink. Have you ever had ceremonial grade cacao?
No, but it sounds
It's
fun.
indigenous plant medicine. It's cacao, so
Cacao.
it's cacao, but it's whole beans. So it's used as a heart opener in other cultures.
Wow.
My wife and I, we sit, and it's not powerful in the sense of like you feel like you're on
Yeah.
something. It does. You feel more lighthearted. My wife and I, we sit out here in our patio, and we have a ceremony. We
Show
set
me,
our.
show me that patio. Don't be pointing to it and not show it to me, Jess.
Oh, it's not magical. It's
That's all
not
right.
magical, but this is our spot right here. Our
Let's see it.
little patios here.
Well,
We've
it
got the
feels magical to me. Is
and
that a fruit tree? Is that a fruit tree?
that is an orange tree that has not bearing
Oh,
any fruit, but
that's all
we,
right.
yeah, we've got the compost in the garden, and
Of
so,
course
so
you do.
this is sort of our place of peace, and we set our intentions
Oh,
each morning, and that's how I've been processing it is
uh-huh.
with her through journaling. I have had to disconnect from social media because not completely, but it's been so. I want to know where I stand. I want to know my.
Yeah.
I want to be really
Yeah.
grounded in that, so that
Hmm.
when I speak my truth, I'm fully ready, and
Yeah.
I stand by what I say. So a little bit of a
Yeah.
media break and more of a creating more.
Yeah.
I run a veg fest out here locally.
I think it's interesting that you're creating more. I find that creating things, no matter what it is, like my girlfriend, both, I think one of them, two of them, they were here, they're designers. And I'm an artist, I'm a writer, I make my money through real estate sales right now, but I think there's something really sacred and holy about creating.
Totally.
And I think the reason why it is so is because we are created beings. We are created. And therefore, because see, the fracturedness, when we are disconnected, we interact with each other from a fractured point of view, right? We're
Totally.
interacting with each other from a broken, fractured place. And when we interact with each other from a broken, fractured place, guess what we do? We treat each other inhumanely. That's what we do. We behave less human. So what I'm hearing you say when you're digging into your process, I love the ceremony of opening your heart with your wife, sitting down to open your heart, to set the intentions of leading with an open space. And that's hard when there's so much trauma about. So it's so beautiful that you set that intention to do that with your bride.
Totally.
But I think why you then create, why you're journaling, why you're creating, because I think it captures and touches and brings us and folds us back into that which we come from, that which created us. And there's something magnificent of creating. It makes us feel more human and more like God's gift, I think.
Yeah, and it allows us to express that uniqueness, like
Yes.
whatever that is, and that everybody has a divine blueprint, and we're
Yeah.
all sort of sitting on it, but
Mm-hmm.
not letting it come out. I think that's also a cause of a lot of anxiety, a lot of depression, a lot of just frustration and anger that we feel
That's
as
right.
individuals, but even as a collective. Is like you said, it's the repressed
Yeah.
creativity. And I know myself well enough to know that when like you said, when I'm creating more, I'm feeling better. I'm more in my element.
Mm-hmm. And
And
why is that important for us? Because when you're more there, you're more human and kind and loving to me.
100%, 100%.
Right?
And when we are processing our thoughts and when we are processing our emotions, it does also allow, you can speak clearer, you can express more effectively and connect on a deeper level. And I like, it's something that I teach my students all the time. I teach my kids. I try to always be talking about how we're feeling, what's going on, and
Yeah,
contributing that voice, because like you said at the very beginning of this talk, is that it matters,
it
is
does.
the voice matters. And it is
And
better.
little things matter.
Yeah, and it's better to have a processed voice than
Right.
one that is just sort of like, you see something and you're just posting something, but you haven't thought about it, right there. And so it's, even with this talk, before I hopped on here, I was really thinking about, like opening my heart and wanting to
Yeah.
just whatever comes through, but from a very genuine place,
I
and so
know, and I can feel it. I feel what you're bringing me. I hope you feel the same.
I
One of my
do.
girlfriends prayed with me in the closet while I was throwing on this shirt because, truth be told, we're having a lot of painting done in our house and my bathroom's out of service. So
Mm.
Shay was just pulling stuff. And, I was like, okay, so I actually have to not be in pajamas to get on IG TV. I mean, like, Jess doesn't know me yet. I'll bring that out in the second time around. So, yeah, it's interesting. So she was just praying that was a part of my process before getting here. So I could be centered and I can come wholeheartedly and we can have discussions that change people's lives. That is the most powerful thing for me. It is not lost on me that you and I sitting here heart to heart talking about process, about life, about heartache, it changes people's lives. It
Yeah.
changes people's perspective. We are pushing the needle towards love. We are.
Amen. Amen.
So tell me, Jess. So you learn about SEL because one of your principal sees you have this propensity like, I think this brother should do this SEL.
Yeah.
So tell me how we find out Yale does it. How long was the process? What are the big things you've taken from it?
I think the big thing is putting emotions at the forefront of not just the students, but the teachers. The teachers, if I'm going to teach you
Mm-hmm.
math, for example, and you're homeless
Mm-hmm.
and your parents are going through a divorce, there's going to be such a disconnect if I'm
Preach.
not addressing where you're at and you're not learning to express that and identify that. And I think that if we can do that, we would have such a healthier society. And I think it does start in our education. I think it, from your 5 years when you go to kindergarten, it's like this shift,
Oh,
erosions that is
I
happening.
get it.
And
It's
that's
like the spiritual Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? Because I can't talk to you about self actualization, about like, oh my God, did you hear that great book that Glennon Doyle wrote? When I don't know I can't eat and I don't have a roof over my head.
pretty.
So it's kind of like having the spiritual version of Maslow's hierarchy of needs and the understanding, like here we're at the base, right? We need shelter. Then
Mm,
we need food. Then we can think about societal things, right? Then we can think about fairness there. Then we can think about our personal stuff, like, like how do I feel emotionally? Like
yeah,
it is a privilege for us to be able to contend with our emotional blueprint, with our emotional, space. It is a privilege to do that because if you're here at the base for so long, you're honestly, that is a traumatic place to live. You're just always living in trauma. So it seems to me the aha moment that you just gave me, the whoa, I get it, was that what you're doing is taking a spiritual and emotional understanding of that. It is hard to learn math when down here is broken.
exactly. And I think it's even where we address, the for example, I'm teaching online classes right now and asking the kids,
Wow.
hey, how are you guys doing with
Mm-hmm.
what's going on? And I've got kids, I'm scared to death. I live here, I'm dealing with this.
Mm-hmm.
And I almost feel like as an educator that I'm like, am I doing like this is why isn't this done everywhere? Why isn't this student or these students receiving this help? Because you're right. It's a privilege to have the ability to tap into your emotions and really
Yeah.
and deal with them. So I
And you're a gift to them. You're a gift to them. You know, the truth is what you're doing is what is necessary and what is needed. And I don't know how long we have to keep being broken, feeling broken, and having broken people walk by each other and employ each other and work for each other before we realize, hey, wait a minute, we're multi-layered. Like, it takes a lot to live. Life can be a cruel lady. She can be cruel and hard. And she, you know, there are some children who, Jess, it's going to make me cry.
oh
But
no.
there are some children who come out the womb and it's like they don't have a chance. And we cannot ignore that. And that's what you're doing. You're not ignoring that. And this is what I'm learning in my life. I don't have to have all the answers.
Nope.
I don't have to have all the fix it glues to bring it together. But I do need to care. I
Mm-hmm.
do need to care. And that's what you're doing. And so I would say you are changing people's lives. There are children who will one day be 34 years old and will be talking about Mr. Jess and how he listened to them and sought to figure out like where they are. That, Jess, without sounding like a broken record or, you know, a constant playlist on repeat, Ed Sheeran, that's right now. I I just cannot emphasize enough how those things that you're doing and checking in, they matter. Can I tell you a story?
Please do. Thank you for that, though. Thank you.
It's true. So one time when I was a little girl, I was in boarding school, and I'm from the Bahamas, but I was educated in upstate New York and then Massachusetts, Rome, Italy, and then came back home to the Bahamas. So my point is, I was educated around the world, but that's why I sound like an American. And that's why I have that generic American accent. You have no idea where I'm from. It's not regionally specific. What you do know is that I'm not Southern. That's what you do know. You know, and it's an American accent versus a British or a Bahamian accent. But
True.
so I'm at boarding school in Lake Placid, New York. And there is this teacher, and I went to really like this hippie granola boarding school in the mountains. You know, it was totally granola and hippie. And people always wondered, like, how did I get there? Because they came down to Freeport, Bahamas, and they were recruiting. And hello, I was a part of that recruiting class. So we had this beautiful Bahamian contingency that went to this school. It was like a handful of us, or maybe two handfuls of it. It was special. There was this teacher. She was my sixth grade teacher. Her name was Susan Patnode. And to this day, she is my favorite teacher. So I don't even ask, what grade do you teach, real quick?
Seventh and eighth.
Okay, that's a powerful time, because then she was also my seventh and eighth grade teacher, because again, boarding school was this big. We had like 85 kids. You know, it was very small.
That's
Which,
awesome.
and I mean, like, even to this day, you can't have electronics. They're like, go climb a tree. You see that mountain? Hit it hard. So she's my favorite teacher. I love her. And it was a farming boarding school. So we literally had barn chores. We had horses, we had goats, we had sheep, we had pigs. We did. And we had barn chores. And I learned early on at North Country School that before we ate breakfast, we had to do our chores. And barn chores always had to wake up earlier. So I learned early on, those animals are going to eat before you eat. I learned that I had to think about something before I had to think about me.
Wow.
I know. And they did that subversively, because I did not realize that's what they were teaching me. But that's what they were teaching me indeed. They were teaching me to look at the community, to see how I could help it, and to think about something other than myself. So it is powerful.
You do not get that in our current education system.
Right. But I don't even know if you got it then. It was just so, but again, I want to be clear. Time and space have shown me how special it was. At the time, I thought these jokers were trying to like implement like illegal childhood labor law issues. You know, like, you know how when you're a kid, you're like, I disagree. I object, you know.
Of course.
So, right. So Susan Patnode, getting back to her, we called our teachers by their first name. So Susan I just loved her. She was just this hard ass, like chunky, short little lady that I just adored. And she would always, talk about herself. I didn't realize until I got older that she was a lesbian. I didn't know that she was gay. I just knew, what I did know is she shouldn't be holding a boy's hand. That's what I knew. Isn't that funny? And and she's a short little Irish Catholic chunky. That's exactly how she would describe herself. At Thanksgiving at this boarding school, we would have the parents would come and eat a beautiful family style dinner with us, because we would have harvested our own turkeys. We would have harvested our own. We would eat one of our calves, and it would feed, like all of us. And it was, so I learned early on too that, guess what? Meat did not come in cellophane wrapping. Isn't that crazy? Did not come from the grocery store.
Powerful realization for people when they see that. The younger they see
Uh,
it, the better, because
yeah,
you
I was like,
respect it and
huh.
appreciate
Yeah, so that animal just gave its life for me. Let me get that straight. You know what I mean?
it.
So
Yes.
so I'm like, okay. I Parents are down for Thanksgiving, and I we had to do this project for them. Um, and my project, we had to do it on an author, write about the author, and give an oral presentation on the author, and draw a picture of the author. So it's something that, really, now that I taught for 2 years after law school, it really was that thing. So parents can see that these teachers was teaching these kids something.
Yeah,
That kind of,
I'm hearing that, like getting flashbacks myself. Like, damn, I know
like,
it's
oh, right, I know what this is. There are deliverables that your children are doing, right? Right.
of course.
So, right. So this is what we are doing. And I was scared. I didn't want to speak in front of people. I didn't want to do that. And my roommate was from Italy, and her English wasn't as good as mine. I didn't realize it wasn't. And Susan said, okay, Alex, you can do the video camera. Shay, you're going to be the first person. And I was like, well, why can't I do the video camera? And I had just learned the word favoritism. So I was like, favoritism. That's what this sounds like, favoritism. And because I knew she loved me, she pulled me over to the side. She said, look here. And I was like, I was just mad, and I can't believe you're going to make it. She said, come here. Look here, you little shit. You're She did. She called me a little shit. She said, look here, you little shit. You're going to get your ass out there. Your parents have flown all the way from the Bahamas, and you are going to deliver this. And you're going to talk about Ralph Waldo Emerson, because that was my person. She said, because there's going to come a day, I'll never forget him. There's going to come a day where you are going to have to know how to speak in public. So get your ass up there and do it. And I have never forgotten that. And actually, I was able to meet her again, and after I graduated from college. And honestly, I wept, because I felt like she had looked down the corridors of my life and knew that I was going to need to be able to command my voice with power, and she was not going to let me sit down. So what I'm telling you is, the things that you do make a difference. Because when I told her that, she cried and she remembered it, but she had no idea that it would be a transformative moment for me. I've said it before, I'll say it again. We never know what memories and moments stick. So treat them all like they're going to stick.
Amen. Amen. That's incredible. Wow. That, as man, I'm like soaking that in, because the power of that one sentence could, really connected
Yeah.
you to her forever, and it
Yeah.
changed. I mean, it's literally like she could peer into the windows of your future and say, yeah, you're definitely going to need this. You need to do
Yes,
this.
she did. She did. And she knew so many things. She knew, as a Black woman, I was going to know how, oh my God, I don't know why I want to cry. She knew that I would grow to be a Black woman. And she knew that I needed to know how to command my voice. And she told me that when
Mm.
I got older, you know? And I guess I can't stop emphasizing to you that those calls that you're making, you're like, I don't know, I'm just, and those touch-ins that you're doing, regardless of whether or not you can pluck them out of the worlds that they live in, you can give them tools and hope to a that God has them in right now, to abide in the world that they
Mm.
find themselves in. It helps them. It helps them. Don't stop it. Don't stop.
Well, no, and I'm not going to stop because I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think one of the biggest disservices we could do right now is schools to resume back in August and then not talk about what's going on.
Right.
That
Because
would
we love
be,
doing that.
oh, we
Rug,
love doing that.
sweep.
And it's like, and you better believe my plans are addressing, we are talking about racism, we are talking about systemic racism, we are talking about, health and well-being
Yeah.
and how to cope and how to, when these things happen, how do we thrive amidst them? Like, how do we still, take care of ourselves the way that, me and you were discussing earlier in the
Yeah.
conversation? How do we, so when I hear stories like yours and I watch what's going on in the world, it actually, I mean, it's fuel to the fire because I could say that one sentence that peers into my students' future without me even knowing it, and ultimately
That's
changes
the
their.
key. That's the key.
So
But you can't have the moment if you stop showing up. That's,
exactly,
see, that's it. You just keep showing up and you're creating those moments for those kids.
exactly, and I tell my students every single year, I'm like, you're the generation that is going to save this planet. You're the generation going to do things differently
I'm going
because
to
you
believe
are
that
watching what's going on in the world. You're growing up with access to more information than I ever had as a
than
13
ever before.
or a 14-year old, and you have the tools because you have the tools to
Yes.
change it. With a tiny change, or whether it's
You're breaking up.
a huge
Okay.
huge change. The fact is that you have the power, and I think that if we can power in our students or in our future generations, that's where it lands. Because I don't know about you, but I did not grow up knowing that and having access to being able to be a catalyst for change. I just didn't have it, and our
Yeah.
kids, it's like,
They see
let's
it.
go there, let's really talk about it.
That might be the one thing that going viral has shown them, that you can put something out into the world and it can cause immediate and pretty dynamic, change or impression. It can leave a very, yeah, I get it. Oh my God.
And it's, and even teaching social media, like how to use it the right way and how to make sure that you're at least aware, because there's no lessons on social media, and people like me and you, we're pretty versed. We have websites, we have podcasts, we have this, that, we have our social media accounts that are dedicated towards our change that we want to see, right?
That's
Like,
right.
we're our voice. So if you notice, not a lot of people are teaching that to our
Yeah.
kids. Granted, they can
Right.
figure out a lot of this on your own, but why? I mean, why not take it a step further and discuss things like that? Because it's been a huge, powerful, form of expression for me, and ability to connect with beautiful people like you. And it's
Oh,
like,
yes. Same thing.
we really need more of that as well, because once again, it's the collective, right? It's the more positive momentum we can add to that, it can only be good.
And it grows exponentially.
Big time.
See? Because then if I'm changed, now you've changed me. Now every person that I interface with change, and it goes on and on. I just always want to speak to the power of what one person can do, because I know it can be really disheartening when you see so many things around you burning to the ground, emotions running high, feelings heartbreaking. Hearts are breaking, and so I'm like, it can be really easy. I know it can, to sit in the middle of that and go, what can I do? Are you there, Jess? Are you there? Yeah, you're back. Um, but the truth is, we can we can make a difference. Our little lives, wherever we are, we can make a difference. That, yes, I see Gina saying the ripple effect. It is the ripple effect, and the ripple, you can't sleep on the ripple effect. It causes change. Can you hear? I think we can't hear Jess right now. We can't hear you, Jess. We'll figure it out, guys. Thanks for being patient as we just figure out. I wonder, can you guys hear him? Connection is going in and out for Jess. Um, maybe on my screen, yeah, he's going in and out for me too. Maybe he has to get a stronger connection. Just be patient, guys. Thank you so much for. I can't hear you. Um, I'm on LTE. I'm on LTE. My husband was just saying switch over. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Jess? I cannot hear him either. Okay, thank you so much, Andrew. I appreciate you letting me know, Andrew, because I can't. Maybe, Jess, should I go and come back? Let me see if I can go. Should I go and come back? I'm going to go and I'm going to come back, Jess, okay?